Welcome to episode 3.5 in refactoring a legacy Node.js application. In the last episode, I noticed that we are not testing our index file, so let's go ahead and address it in this episode. If we open the index file, we can see it immediately writes something to the screen, it starts a timer, and then it starts reading user inputs. So this is not great for testing, because as soon as we import this file, we run this code. So to address it, we create a new file called app.js, and let's define a function here, and let's export it, export function run, and then we just need to put the code that's inside the index here, inside the run function. So that would be this code here, and then we need the imports, and then we just import the run function here, and we just run it. So let's try this out. npm run start. It's working. Let's start with a simple test. So we create a new file for this, app.test.js, and we have some skeleton here, describe app run, and let's say here it should write a menu, and let's just run the function and look at the console. Okay, we can see here we need to mock some functions. So let's start with the first one. So we just copy this one here. Let's say here equals yes.fm. So this is a new mocked function, and let's see what happens to our tests. Okay, less errors. We probably need this one as well. This one. If we look at the yellow text here, we can see some things are not stopping gracefully. So let's look at our code, and we can see here we have event listeners for key press, and we have these intervals here. So these might be hanging on. So let's go to our tests first, and let's say here, before each, and we're gonna say just.use fake timers. Then, after all, standardin.pause, so we're gonna pause the event listeners, and then we are gonna remove all listeners. And then let's try it out. Awesome. There is a lot of noise in our tests, so let's move these console logs here. So let's go to our code, and let's say here const console spy equals just.spy on console log mock implementation, and we're gonna give it an empty implementation. Alright, and let's check it out. Awesome. Let's do a little bit of cleanup before we continue. So let's move these here into variables, and then after each we have to reset the mocks. The test is not verifying anything yet, so let's go ahead and change that. So we have this console spy here, and we can expect the spy to have been called with this one here, and let's look at the results. It's working, so we do the same with the rest. And then we try it out. Working. Let's add a test for the timers. So should write elapsed time, and now just can help us advance timers by time 50 milliseconds like we are using in the code, and then in the code we are writing to standard out, so let's mock that, and then here we are going to expect this to have been called with this value here, and let's check it out. It's working. Let's do a follow-up to the last test. Should write elapsed time twice. So we increment it twice. Then the second one is gonna be like this, 100 milliseconds. So let's check it. It's working. Let's test the command. Should reset timer. And we're gonna increment the timer by 100 milliseconds. And then we're gonna need to fake a button press. So we're gonna take this standard in here and say emit data buffer from R, that's for reset. And then we're gonna need to wait 50 milliseconds for the next drawing on the screen. And then that drawing is gonna be 50 milliseconds. It's working. Let's test pausing a timer. So let's copy this test here. Should pause timer. So we're gonna run it, and then immediately we're gonna press any button. So let's just say X, and then we can just wait any amount of time. And then we are gonna expect it to be called with 0. It's working. So let's adjust this one a bit. Should have been called last. So the last time this is called, it should be like this. Alright. And then let's create a very naive test here. Should create new timer. So that's the end button here. And then it should be like this. So let's create a test to close the application. So should close the application. Then we need some mocks here for the exit. And when we are closing the application, Command C. Let's Command C. And then we're gonna expect exit to have been called. It's working. And let's adjust then this one here as well. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it. We at least have some coverage for our index file now. In the next video we will do more improvements. See you then.